And welcome back. It is a great day here in Georgia for those forum. We do a little bit of everything on this channel: DIY, automotive, pinball, machining, side-by-sides, you name it, we do it. But today we are all about the RZR again because, as you can tell, this thing and the offset of these wheels, it slings lots of mud. So how we're going to solve that problem? You guessed it, we are installing the Polaris brand fender flares. Now, Polaris is normally really good about having videos on installs, but in this case, I couldn't find one. And I like watching videos to learn how to do something instead of reading paperwork. Now, we've already got the 2-seater done, so I know what to do on the 4-seater. I'm gonna bring you guys along. Let's get it. So first up, let's talk about the tools. It actually looks like more than it should be, but there's really not a lot you need. You do need a T40. In this case, I've got a T40 on a regular M18, and I also have it on this deal. You also need a drill with a 5/16 and a 1/4 inch. And really the only other thing you need is gonna be flathead. You can do it with a flathead and a pair of pliers. I've got one of these clips as well that's a clip remover. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but you know, one of these things. There are two places in this thing that are really a pain in the rear, and it's those two clips you gotta get out that sit behind the door. When we get to there, we'll talk about it. Yes, they come in a box this massive. And if you're wondering why freight's $100, well, it's because of the size of this thing. Now, you get it shipped to your dealer. I believe it's for nothing. But let's open it up. I'm not gonna bore you with that, so let me show you. All right, so in your kit, this is what you get. You get your 2 front fenders, your 2 rear fenders, and a bag of goodies. And in this bag, you've got new screws, you've got new nuts for it, you've got new push pins just for your mud flaps, if you wanna put them on there. And that's it. That's all that's in this box. Let's get to installing. All right, step number 1, we're actually gonna pull the windshield out. We've got to get it out of the way first. You may be wondering why this has the plastic still on it, because this is a new windshield, and this is the reason why I buy Polaris branded stuff. Just the other week, we went riding, and I ended up having an issue with my vent. It actually broke the little piece that holds it in. I tried just to get the piece. Polaris said, no, go see your dealer where you bought it from, and lo and behold, they give me a brand new window. And it was about 3 or 4 months old, and it was really just a small piece. So that's why I buy Polaris. If you guys haven't taken your windshield off, it's actually easy to go ahead and pull your roof loose. That way it just kind of helps you get this thing out of here. Now the first part of this, we actually got to pull this front panel off in order to get this front fender off. What we're going to do is pop these 2 screws loose here. And then we're gonna go ahead and take these loose. Let me go ahead and show you that real quick. Basically, you pry up on this piece in the back, just a little bit, and slide it out. Now, I do have my stuff on for my enclosure, but pops right out. There is a screw hidden right here. Same thing on the other side. Now we've got that exposed. Let's go ahead and take these 2 screws loose here. Now we have all of our screws exposed to take this panel off, and all you've got to do to take this panel off is you've got a screw here, and then back over here underneath this, you've got the 1 screw that's hidden right in here. Same thing on the other side, so let's get those off. All right, now to take this off, basically just pull this loose a little bit, slide forward, voila, the entire front end comes off just like that. So what I want to do now is I actually want to go ahead and pull these panels off here. And for those of you who don't know, these panels come off. There are 2 little clips in here, down one there and one down here, that you actually have to get to and pull out. Now these can be a little tricky. You can do it with a flathead and a pair of pliers if you want to. Basically take and pop that loose there. And then I like to take a pair of pliers and kind of wiggle it out of there. There's not much room to work with, but that's one of the fasteners you got to take out. There's another one right here below it. There's another one right in here. You got to pry open just as well. Just as much of a pain in the rear as the upper one. And there you go. Now we've got this panel that can be pulled loose here and out the way. As you can see right here, there are some clips here that this thing has that this goes into. All right. You end up pulling one of these apart, don't worry, because they will go back together. The biggest thing you got to look for is there will be a notch. Kind of see it in there. Same thing with this. This has like a little notched edge. Make sure you put those back together that direction and leave it like that. Well, focus. Put it back together like that. You've got two right here you've got to pull loose. You've got one, whoops, right there. One here. There's one right here facing this direction and these two there. And then this whole fender will come right off. All right, now this is why I have this tool because, well, the way my tires are and the way I built my rock sliders, it's a little bit easier getting in there because I have enough room to do what I need to do. Now, you've got it loose, just pick up a little bit. There's your fender. You've got your new fender. Now, I would suggest go ahead and getting your new clips putting on here. So here's your bag of parts. Pop it open. Now what you're gonna get out are these pieces right here. The front fender actually only gets one and it goes right here in this spot. You're gonna take and make sure that you put the part that's kind of flared out. Focus. See that flare part? Goes to the back. Slide it in place. That's it for this fender for now. Now, while I'm at it, I'm gonna go ahead and replace these two as well on the front because, well, they're older. Let's go ahead and put new ones. We come with it. Take your flathead, pry them right off, and then slide your new ones back on, of course, with the notch portion going to the back again. Like so. Now we're ready to put the fender back on. Now, the biggest thing here is the one that we put the clip on up here is actually going to sit behind this tab here. So what we're going to do is take this, slide it around like so. We're going to pick up, push in and down on this back side to make sure it goes behind the door and into the panel in place like so. Right here, the fender is going back behind the other part right here. So now we can put a screw in there and put our screws in down through here and our two back in the back. Now Polaris gives you enough new screws and bolts to do all this. If you want to use your old ones, feel free. Now I should mention, Polaris also gives you some shorties. You want to save those until you get to the back. I'll show you why. Now that is it for the front fender. Aside from, there is a spot here to drill and put a pin in. Now, I'm not gonna do it because this thing fits very tight as is, especially when you get everything bolted up. Like, it really doesn't do much, in my opinion. So I'm leaving it out because you gotta be really careful as you're getting really close to your headlight. And I just don't see the benefit for it, honestly. But that's it for the front fender. Let me get the other one on. I wanted to show you guys on the front fender here, which is this up here, you'll see this gap here. This, you want to make sure that fender goes down and in that slot and seats up nicely like it should. The other thing is don't tighten these things up until you get them all in. All right, now we got both front fenders on. Let's get the front end reassembled back. We're gonna start back with the side piece, then we're gonna work back our way to this front, and then finally our two little pieces. So now don't forget, these side pieces have these clips that go into this. So take and make sure that they seat properly. Now you're gonna put your two push pins back in. Now I'm here to tell you, this is absolutely the hardest part because there's no room to work between this door. You can't open it and put it in. You have to do it with it closed. Needle nose work good. Squeezed the piece a little bit. Now you've kind of got to work the back end first to get around and then back in and push it in. Now I will tell you, that was much easier than the two-seater was yesterday. Now I'm going to jinx myself on the next ones, but let's see how this goes. Back in first, front end in, and got to get your finger in there to hold it enough. All right, jump to the other side. All right. Snap it. For some reason, some of these are just a pain in the rear. Now we're cooking. All right, now we can throw this front piece on. And basically, you're just gonna get this thing pushed down and make sure you get these front lips here. There are like 2 lips up in here if you feel it. 2 little pieces to catch on the grill, along with these 2 in the bottom down here. Make sure you get those in place. And then on this front, you've got pieces that catch right up here in the corner. Like so. Now is the time I would put these 2 clips on the fender. I didn't tell you to put these on the first time go around because, well, they can get knocked off. But right underneath the tab here, just slide you 2 new nuts right here. Slide them into place. That way you can screw that right into it. Same thing over here. Slide that nut on now at this point. Put your screw in. Now you can go ahead and put this cover panel on here. Last but not least, your 2 little small pieces are going to come in from the back, slide under this front, and they're going to pop right down into place. And that's it for the front. All right, now let's work on the rear. So in the rear, we've got a few screws that are gonna pull from the inside loose here. Now be careful because up here on this corner here, there is a bracket that goes in there that is an L bracket. I say an L bracket, you'll see it when we get it pulled off. Just make sure you know which way it goes because it does matter which direction it goes. We are gonna have to drill a hole in the fender down here, and we're gonna have to drill one in the back up here. I'll show you that here in a second. We have 5 screws we've actually got to take loose. You'll see the 4 that we've got here. There's 1, 2, and 3 is right here. The 4th one is right here. Now the 5th one is, down there. I'll show you that in a second. All right, now here's that bracket I was just telling you guys about. So you see the bracket here. Now what you got to make sure is there is one side here that is threaded. The other side is just a through hole. The threaded side goes down to the back of the fender, or down to the back bumper, I guess section is what you'd call it. Last bolt to take loose is down here at the bottom on the front. Just take and pull this one loose. All right, so there's the old fender off. Let me get the new one because the same place that had these nuts on the back side here, the plates, we're gonna do it on the new one. All right, so here is the new fender. Now you'll notice there are 2 holes in this. This hole is already in the machine. We're gonna be drilling for this one. We're gonna be drilling for this one here in a minute. But you wanna go ahead and put your nuts, the little nut plates here, 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 and you've got one more right here. Now this one, we've got a drill for us. Now I'm gonna put these little nut pieces, these little nut plates on every hole except for that very bottom one because I don't want that in the way as I'm trying to mark for where I've got to drill. And don't tighten these up, but go ahead and put these bolts in. Now don't forget to put your bracket back the proper direction. Now in this case, like I said, the hole that goes through it goes up here at the top, and you're gonna go in and through to the fender, the new fender flare, I should say. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this bottom bolt in. All right, this is the point I'm going to try to get everything lined up and start tightening things up a little bit here. At this point, I have left these 2 bolts out here because I need to have room for this thing to move. The reason being is we're going to put this up there, get it where I want it, and we've got to mark this bottom hole. The problem is lovely Polaris, don't feel like they thought this one out very through because it's really, really hard to get in here to mark this hole. So I used a Sharpie, kind of eyeballed it, got it close. It's good enough. Let me show you. All right, so I've got a silver Sharpie that is not the greatest. Now, I found you can't just like go and mark. I haven't been able to get into the marked hole. So what I've done is I'll take my flashlight because I can't see, I'm blind. Now I put 2 lines on it, can't really see them. I'm finding the intersection point, which is right there. I'm gonna line it back up. Looks close enough for plastic. A 1/4-inch drill. Line it up. Yes, this is a super long drill, but you know what? It's what I had. Like so. Now we're gonna put our new nut back on. Now, if you remember, I told you there are 2 short bolts in this bag. They happen to be this length here. So what you have is a bunch of these, you have a bunch of these longer ones, but there's 2 short ones like that. These 2 are the very bottom screws because if you go with the long ones, you'll end up coming into the back of the fender flare, and well, let's be honest, you don't want that. And that's it for that part. Now we're gonna go to the back here. I'm gonna show you the 1 hole we're gonna drill there, which is gonna be a 5/16. We're gonna put a push pin in it, and this fender is done. All right, so the last and final step is actually drilling the hole that you see right here. This hole is gonna be a 5/16. You're gonna drill through, and then you're gonna put then a push pin right in it. So let me show you that. Now it is recommended to clamp this thing up, but you know what? I like living dangerously. I'm gonna hold it by hand, put the push pin in my mouth, take my 5/16 and drill, baby, drill. And then I'm gonna push pin it right in. That's it. Get this fender put on. I'll catch you back up here in just a second. Now, while you may think we're done, there's one more thing to do. Well, I guess technically it's optional, but I'm going to put them on there because I don't want mud all over my rock sliders. And that is these mud flaps. The first thing you're gonna notice, these mud flaps are actually cut 2 different directions. Technically, they're supposed to go this direction. You'll see there are 4 holes drilled in this bottom here, and all you're gonna do is take 4 push pins, and you're literally just gonna fasten it to the fender like that. And that's a wrap. Let me show you. I know some of you are going to ask because I forgot to mention it earlier, but the reels that we're running on here are a 5+2 offset, so that gives you an idea of how these things look with the 5+2 offset wheels. Honestly, I think they turn out freaking great. To me, it fits very, very well to the machine. The 5+2 wheels, they line up really, really good. We still have a little tire poking out, which I like. So stay tuned. I had videoed some video when we went riding to Durham town. I don't know if I'm going to post it yet or not. But I wanted to show you guys this. We're going to have some more videos coming up of actually going riding. But that's going to end this one off. We'll catch you next time.